Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Possibility Perspective. Today, we're getting a perspective from a leader and a trailblazer and an innovator. Her name is Shikha Bajaj, and she's created something absolutely incredible. And I've brought her on to talk about it. Own Your Color. We're going to talk to Shikha now about what this is, why she created it, and where do we go from here. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. And I know you kickstarted by talking about the power kits, which is based on different colors and all that. But before I even get to that, I actually want to talk about what is Own Your Color. So, Own Your Color is a book that came to my mind during COVID when the whole world was shut off in a negative, toxic, miserable state. I felt like that was my aha moment and eureka moment about how there's so much of negativity with less support and care for each other. So, all that isolation actually, for the first time ever, made me quieten the noise around me for my own self and realize as to how I've just been selfishly focused on my own goals, my own happiness without really caring about others. So that's how it actually started. I had started a mentorship program for working women, given that during COVID it was really hard for them to get the right level of support internally or externally outside their houses. That little program or the idea of that program, how it started from my mind to actually becoming a reality in North America, and then went viral across the company, did more and more of those in the community. And the bottom line was across countries, across communities, across corporations, across working women, different races. One common theme was women are just overly critical of themselves and we don't give our own self any grace. And I would say that's what led to the idea of Own Your Color to be a book which tells you it's based off three pillars, which is know your color, embrace your color, and spread your color. And what that means is all of yourself, because we are multi dimensional people. We have multiple colors, but essentially focus on your strengths is one thing that I found gave a lot of hope to women. And just hearing each other's stories and how we really need to help each other, not be our worst critic, but be our best supporter and cheerleader, is what Own Your Color as a book stands for. As I said, the idea came about in 2020. I started doing a lot of volunteering. I would say I have mentored about thousands of women across the world in that time frame specifically. The more stories I heard, the more I realized that this is not like a community or a county or a corporate problem. This is something wide rampant. And focusing on strengths is what can really, really help illuminate oneself to their biggest potential. So I'll pause there for a second because this is a lot.
No, this is good. This is so good. And I want to just comment on that because that was one of the things that when I first was reading your material, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so silly in some ways that I know I'm guilty of it is we focus so much on what we're not doing or what we're not good at and trying to improve those things, right? We're just grinding and grinding and grinding and
Yep.
especially as women and we are so self-critical and
Yeah.
we forget all of the things we are doing so well and that we are so good at and we are like superheroes at. And what a reframe that can be, just even if you just stopped there, which you didn't, but even if you just stopped there, that is this incredible magical reframe. And so everyone watching this or listening to this, just for a second, pause here with us and literally maybe even pause this podcast or video and go write down all the things that you are doing right and all the things that you are good at. because I promise you that's a pretty long list. You're doing a lot of things. So good for you, good for us. Okay, rant over. Now we can continue.
No, that's great. And I'm so glad that you actually literally asked people to pause physically for a second because we don't. We're all running on an autopilot and that gets to us. And then I think the negativity and toxicity just makes us feel like, oh, I need to do this better. Like, I'm great at work, but I'm not being great at being a mom. But the reality is, you cannot be 100% in all your roles 24 by 7. You have to know that some days it's okay not to be 10 on 10 and you're still awesome and you're still a superwoman and still loved and cherished. So I'm glad you said that.
Thank you. Yes. So next comes, I mean, the book comes, but this has turned into more than a book. I mean, it's a movement, in my opinion. So talk to us about how this has evolved and grown.
Yeah. Um, so when I wrote the book, what I did not want to do was give anybody, whether it's a student or somebody who's just starting their career or a woman at home, just get a book to read with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee. That wasn't my idea. And the reason is because I think real transformation actually happens when you put in the work. And what I mean by that is, so the book, as I said, has three different chapters or three pillars actually. Know your color, which is know what you stand for, yourself, your limiting beliefs, embrace your color, know what your strengths are, and dream big, bet on yourself, set up goals, find mentors, and the last is spread your color. Once you have actually fulfilled your goals, then lift others up, support someone else, take someone else along the journey and give them the hope and the courage and the optimism. So when I wrote this, I wanted to make sure that each pillar and every chapter, the 8 chapters, every chapter actually has activities. There, interestingly, is an activity which talks exactly about what you ask people to do, which is take a pen and paper and write down in the book itself, there is space to write as to what are your biggest accomplishments and why do you think those are your accomplishments, and then also write down what are your biggest goals and who do you think has achieved those goals so you can actually reach out and ask for help. So why I'm sharing that is because given my own, I would say, educational credentials as well as experience across different countries, India and US, what I've learned is, and I did a lot of education, but not everybody can actually afford all that education from, let's say, the likes of MIT or Columbia around transformation, psychology, team building, and actual change. So I wanted to give back. As I said, in 2020 during COVID, I realized I was just too focused on my own self and I wanted to give back, and that's why I wrote the book, to give them the tools to bring in that change, because not everybody can afford either that education or a real life coach or a career coach who can work with them. However, to answer your question, which is, okay, so book and then what? Where did the colors come from, right? So I did not expect the book to either go viral or actually receive a lot of fan mail saying how it's really helping their life. But when I started getting that, I also started taking workshops for companies, for colleges, high schools, as well as nonprofits. And everybody said, this is great, but you know what? And this is like, I think it happened at Boys and Girls Club of Mercer County, New Jersey. There was this amazing woman who had a very abused childhood and was struggling, and she said, I'm glad that you're telling me about all those things, but unfortunately I don't have time to read all this and figure out what my strengths are. We're in the era of shorts and everybody's attention span is 30 seconds, so how am I going to read this book which is still 100 plus pages? Can you distill it further? And that just set me thinking that, again, I can't be everywhere, I cannot be doing all the workshops, so what can I do to make it super, super simple and actionable? And that's what led to coming up with the Power Type quiz. It's a free quiz available on the website www.ownyourcolor.com. And when you go on that, you take that quiz. It's a simple 5-question quiz, unlike a lot of personality quizzes that require 50 or 100 questions. which can be exhausting. I myself have not completed many of those and I don't remember. So I wanted to really keep it simple. So it's only 5 questions. The only catch is just be honest. All colors are awesome and the person taking it is awesome. Just be honest when you answer those questions. And the moment you do that, you would actually get your color. And what that color means is your dominant power type. So I think you took the quiz, didn't you?
I did. I did. And so I to share everyone, I'm the same. Like I've gone through some of these before and you get through halfway and you're like, "Oh my God, seriously, this is the same question just rephrased in a different way," and by the time you get to the end, you're like, "Can I just be done with this so I can get my results?" So thank you for creating something that is so incredible and so quick and easy to do. And so, those of you that follow along with my journey or know me, you know that my favorite color is orange. And so, then when my actual color result was orange, I mean, even without reading the description, I was like, oh, of course I would be orange. But orange is the nurturer. And I'm just reading this off your website, so I'll have you elaborate on this. But it's warm, compassionate, uplifting others while creating real impact. When I did it, I got a longer description of that, but I just even from that, I'm like, oh yeah, that is so me. And I felt validated by what I was told that my strengths are. It was like very validating. And then also at the same time, you can see, well, I'll have you talk about like the other colors and what this all means and what you're supposed to do with it. Because actually I want to say one more thing and just applaud you for this is because everything you've done from writing the book to this quiz and spreading this message is about action, taking action in your life. And that is something you said earlier, transformation doesn't happen without action. And so thank you for integrating that into this, because if we're going to create real change in the world, it doesn't matter what the subject is on. We can't just do it by, theory and consuming information. We have to take that and embody it and apply it into our lives. So thank you for also making it easy to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed the experience of taking that free quiz and it made sense and resonated with you. So I did launch this at Pennsylvania Conference for Women, I think last September. And I think, actually, I'm pretty sure, I think about 99% women said, "Oh wow, this is me. How did you know that?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. You were just honest while answering the question." So I think, so this is the nurturer that you are, right? And since everything is about action, so the book has the secret formula to success, which is called Mentor. And it stands for meditate, exercise, notate, thank, take ownership, and read. And the reason I say that that's a success formula and the magic formula is because if you actually take just 6 minutes with yourself doing that for 6 weeks, you will see that transformation. Now, the challenge is all of us, and sometimes myself included, I can take 60 minutes for Instagram, mindless scrolling, but I would not take 6 minutes to actually just breathe in, breathe out, and meditate and be with myself. Or I would not take like a minute or two. If I don't have an hour, just take a minute to, do jumping jack, which is exercise. And then the most important thing is notate, which is write down whatever you're feeling or whatever is your intention for the day, because that's what carries you forward. So that's what I was trying, and I still am trying to spread via the book. But with all the workshops I was doing, the feedback was, this is great, but make it simpler. Can you, it's like, I don't have time to go to gym 30 days in a month and leave alone commit to like 6 months. Can you actually give it to me quickly? And there is no magic pill, but the quiz and the color was my way of actually dumbing it down and saying, this is who you are. First question, do you resonate? If the answer is yes, then these affirmation cards, so essentially the power kit comes with an affirmation card It starts by saying who you are, which is you're a nurturer and you bloom with care. And there are different colors. One is trailblazer, which is all about being bold and pioneering. Green is all about connecting people and ideas. Anchor is about stability. So there are different colors. And depending on who you are, the idea is if like every morning for that mentor to be actionable, because people will like, can you make it simpler? Draw a card, right? Read what the card says as an affirmation, and this one says, my creativity flows freely and brings joy. So the moment you read that, it's very positive about who I am, irrespective of everything that's happening, in my mind and my life. And then there is a ritual which says, engage in a small creative activity like doodling or cooking. And then there is a prompt saying, what creative outlet brings me the most fulfillment? So the reason to add these ritual and prompt is to actually literally push and nudge the reader to take the journal, take the pen, and just write something. So neuroscience has proven that there is a chemical reaction that happens in your brain when you take anything positive and write it down. If you say like, I'm going to be 30 pounds lighter, and you write it down every day, you will remember when you're actually trying to get a piece of pastry from your fridge. So the act of journaling has huge, benefits, but it's really, really long last. And the reason for the power kit was to actually again make it simpler. So I came up with this journal so that when people take the affirmation card, so the power kit comes with a pen, and it says, own your color, own your future. So it's a visual, physical reminder that take the time to journal because it's important. And the journal exactly tries and gets you to be very, very intentional about the mentor framework. So write one thing that you're thankful for. Take ownership of your day and set the intention for the day. Take the affirmation and do the prompt. And all of this doesn't take more than 6 minutes. So what I did was I did a pilot with a set of women who actually did this 6 minutes a day for 6 weeks to see whatever they wanted changed in their life, right? Whether it was just building the habit to go to gym every day, or drinking 6 gallons of water, or actually having the courage to apply to the job or ask for a raise. Or everybody who did it diligently for 6 weeks saw that come true. People who didn't said they didn't really see it there, but they see a transformation in their mindset, which makes them positive and makes them confident and makes them courageous to go after their next, even though they may not be there. And there were some stragglers who were like, yeah, I like to do it for 2 days and then I just couldn't. So again, to your point, it's all about action. Intention doesn't take us really far. So if you have the intention, you take the action, you will see transformation in your whole self and everything around you.
Yeah, and that ripples because when we show
Yes.
up differently, then we're going to be putting out a different energy to our
Absolutely.
family, our workmates, our team, our
100%.
person we're interacting with at the grocery store. And the ripple effect in the world is, obviously enormous when you look at it that way. And that's why this is so fascinating to me that you were able to take these like very I'm air quoting, complicated concepts of transformation and personal development and motivation and put them into this like fun thing that you can just do. But so what am I trying to get at? It's just beautiful to me, I guess, that you can do this, and it's almost like we're tricking ourselves into transformation because we're like, oh, let's just do this fun little thing. Okay, pull a card, great. But there's big, huge results that happen from doing this. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think it's you said that earlier, like taking it one step further. So one is you know yourself, you know your color, and then you're actually transforming yourself, which is creating the ripple effect in your family, community, your workplace, etc. But I think where it becomes really, really dynamic and powerful is, let's say, I know you're a nurturer, and I know I'm a trailblazer, and I tell you this is who we are, right? So I did a workshop with the company where I shared all that, one with the company and one with students, and everybody took the quiz, and then there are activities to figure how do you make sure when you're actually doing something transformational or complex. Like right now, it's the age of AI, and everybody says, yeah, I can do this, yeah, I can do that. But what about human potential? We can also do a lot of things, but only if we focus on strengths and leverage those as leaders. But we don't know people, we just know people as a name and a title and an experience and a skill set, like a technical or a soft skill set, but you don't know what somebody's intrinsic strengths are. So the exercise we did was really powerful, where everybody first resonated with okay, who I am, and then depending on the job at hand, teams were formed so that complementary people, example, so dreamers are people who think anything can happen, right? And trailblazers are bold to actually make it happen. So when you pair those people and talk about a complex idea or almost an impossible thing, the dreamer said, "Of course this can happen, but I don't know how." And the trailblazer said, "Oh, I'll tell you how. This is how we'll go about doing it." And they ended up creating something so magical in a very short time, and versus not knowing that and forming teams or pairs where you don't know each other's strengths. So that just opens up like a world of possibilities.
It absolutely does. So, okay, so what if, right? Because if you don't do that, right? So you could end up with, let's say you're pairing people off and you're creating these teams to go get a project done, right? I mean, if you're
Yeah,
in business, you've been in that
yeah,
experience where you're like, okay,
yeah,
let's put these. But if you don't
exactly.
have this information, then you could have a
It's
whole
a
team of
struggle.
dreamers that are supposed to be executing something,
Yep,
and that's not going
yep.
to get executed.
It doesn't. And then projects derail and then budgets overrun, and like the customer is unhappy and things don't get done.
Yeah.
So,
And then also, unfortunately, those dreamers get pointed at like people that are not productive and can't execute, and because we're not seeing them for their superpower.
exactly.
And
They were
then
not set up to succeed.
yeah, and then they become unmotivated, right? And then disengaged, and think about how then that ripples negatively into culture and company and
100%.
dynamics.
Yep.
And so this is really a solution for all of those things.
Totally. 100%. Yep.
So, little devil's advocate here, what
Sure.
would you say to somebody? So, like, let's say myself, and I'm a nurturer and I do this. And I'm not this, right? So, like, we start to like gravitate too much toward our
Yeah.
strength, and then we almost kind of victimize ourselves for the things that we're not. How do you make sure that we stay
Yeah.
in the possibility realm?
Yeah. And I think the answer to that is I'll just bring this up because this is the closest to me, the journal. We are all of these colors actually. Yes, the quiz may say you're a nurturer and I'm a trailblazer, but the reality is that's just our dominant strength. We still have our minor strengths in all other areas of doing something bold depending on what's going on, right? Like you may be a trailblazer when it comes to personal life, like you may wear something really funky, not worry about who will say what, but you will not do it at work, right? Or vice versa. So I think that's why it's a reminder that we are all of these colors, we're multidimensional, but just knowing what we're really, really good at is your superpower. That doesn't mean that you don't have other skills or other strengths, and it also doesn't mean that you focus on just building those strengths. You focus on what you're really good at and try and maximize it because that comes so naturally to you. That's the goal. So saying that, oh, and then the whole thing about victimize, I'll say that's the biggest issue that I'm trying for everyone to get rid of. And that's why the name of the book and everything is starting with the word own. So, whatever I am, wherever I am, howsoever I am, is because of my own self. And I have to take that full ownership rather than finding excuses or blame on family or work or co-workers or my upbringing or anything at all, right? Like, you have to take the ownership, because without ownership, no action happens.
Absolutely. And thank you for addressing that, because I figured that would be your answer, but I wanted to address it because I think sometimes our programming has us flip back into that mode of, okay, well, I'm this, which means I'm not this, and therefore I'm not good at this, and I'm going to use that as an excuse as to why I'm failing at this or not doing this, and that the whole point of this is to reframe that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. So what's your vision for the big question, what's your vision for how this is going to continue to make an impact, or what's next, or, your vision for the world?
My vision for the world is everybody just take a moment and, be fully authentic, because the world does not need more copies. They need the original you, original me and original you. So I think if people just at least start first resonating with that and give themselves the permission to be themselves, then they'll be able to actually take next step, which is know who they are with respect to the color, and then actually take ownership of their life with respect to betting on themselves, dreaming big, doing amazing things, and then also helping others see that. Like, I see that in everybody, but I know people don't even see that in themselves. So if you yourself don't think you're enough, how are you actually going to help another person? So my vision is that, we find more and more cheerleaders who are able to see the strength and courage and hope in themselves, are able to pass that torch and baton to others. And as I said, like, this is a movement for me. I'm myself on this journey. I don't know what's next. I do know there are people who've reached out saying, can I actually teach all of this philosophy to them so that they don't have to rely on me and my bandwidth, but they can then spread it within their corporate workplace or high school. And I'm thinking of actually doing, like, creating a course like that, so that people can become Own Your Color certified and become Own Your Color ambassadors and stuff like that.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful vision and next level for how you can continue to make an impact and not be completely overwhelmed and spread so thin that you can't keep up with it all. I mean, it's beautiful. It's leaving a legacy, I guess. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for agreeing to be here and for being you and walking your talk and totally, absolutely showing up as your authentic self and owning your color. And I look forward to seeing how this is going to continue to grow and expand in the world. For people that are here that are interested in just even starting with taking the quiz, give out your website one more time where people can follow you.
www.ownyourcolor.com. It's a free quiz. Take a moment. I'd love to hear from you. Check out the book. It's available on Amazon. It's available on the website. All of these power kits, including the journal, pen, the affirmation cards, everything is available. Give yourself the permission to be you and spread your color. Your color is beautiful. The world needs more of us just showing up in our full color.
Beautiful. The world needs more of us showing up in our full color. I think we'll leave it at that. All right, everyone, until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and go own your color. Hey, before you go, make sure you've subscribed to the podcast wherever you're getting it and leave a comment and let me know that you were here. I really appreciate that. If this resonated with you, share it because it will probably help someone else. And the more people we can reach, the better. So thanks again for being here and I'll see you next time.